Hello everyone, welcome to a presentation on mastering HTML forms and elements and attributes. Forms are the backbone of user interaction on websites. Whether you are logging in, signing up or making a purchase, forms collect and process user data. In this video, we will explore the structure of HTML forms, the role of form and input elements, and how attributes improve usability, accessibility and validation. By the end, you will be confident in designing effective forms. Let's begin. Now, introduction to HTML forms. HTML forms allow users to input data and send it to a server for processing. They are essential for tasks like registering accounts, submitting feedback, or uploading files. A form is made up of various elements, such as text fields, buttons, checkboxes, and dropdowns. When a user interacts with these elements and submits the form, the data is sent to a server where it can be stored, processed, or analyzed. Understanding how form work is crucial for web developers because they directly affect the user experience. The form tag overview. The form tag is the starting point of any HTML form. It acts as a container for all form elements. Its two most important attributes are action, which specifies the URL where the form data will be sent. The second one is method, specifies how the data is sent. The two main methods are get and post. Get appends the data to URL as query parameters, while as post send the data securely in the body of the request. The form tag ensures that all elements inside it are part of the same submission. Now moving on to the form tag attributes. The form tag has several attributes that define how the form behaves. First is action. This is the URL where the form data is sent. Second is method that uses post or get secure submissions for non-sensitive data where readability is important. Third is enctype, defines how the form data is encoded. Fourth is no validate. This disables HTML validation when set, allowing you to use custom JavaScript validation instead. These attributes work together to ensure proper handling of form data. Now, moving on to the input tag overview. The input tag is used to create input fields. It is a self-closing tag and can represent various types of inputs, such as text, password, dates, and files, depending on the type attribute. For example, in HTML input type is equal to text and name equal to username. Each input collects a specific kind of data. Combining the input tag with appropriate attributes creates form that are flexible and user-friendly. Moving on to the common input types. Some of the most frequently used input types are text, password, email, and number. Text is used for plain text input like names or address. Password is used to mask user input for sensitive fields like password. Email is used to ensure the input is a valid email format. And number is used only to accept numeric values and provide increment and decrement controls. These types are the building blocks of most forms and are intuitive for users to interact with. Moving on to the more advanced types of inputs. HTML5 introduced advanced input types that enhance user interface. Date and time allow users to select dates and times from a calendar or clock interface. Second is range, creates a slider from numeric input within a range. Third is color, which opens a color picker or a circular selector from which the user can select his color. Last is file, lets user upload files directly. These advanced types reduce the need for additional JavaScript or plugins, making forms more interactive and accessible. Next is input attributes. Input attributes help control the behavior of form fields. Common ones include placeholder, displays a hint inside the input field. Required, ensure the user doesn't skip the field. Max length and min length, restrict the number of characters a user can enter. Read only and disabled, control whether a field is editable or usable. These attributes improve user experience by guiding and validating input directly in the browser. Moving on to the input validation attributes. Validation attributes ensure users submit correct data. For example, pattern, min max, step. pattern which defines a regex pattern that input must match. Min and max set numerical or date ranges. Step specify valid increments for numbers or ranges. These attributes handle most validation needs without requiring JavaScript. Now, moving on to the radio button and checkbox with input tags. Radio button and checkbox allow users to select predefined options. Radio buttons created with type equal to radio. They let users select one option from a group. Whereas checkbox created with type equal to checkbox, they allow multiple selection, grouping them with a field set and labeling them with legend. Improve clarity and accessibility. Submit and reset button. Button controls user action. Submit send the form data to the server. Example button type equal to submit. Whereas reset clears all fields in the form, returning them to their default state. These buttons are essential for user interaction and form submission. Moving on to the drop-down menus. The select tag creates a drop-down menu offering a clean way to present multiple options. Each option is defined with an option tag. Here we can see the example of a drop-down menu where you can choose a car, Volvo, Saab, Mercedes or Audi. A drop-down menu is created using a select tag in HTML, allowing users to choose an option from a list. Each choice in the list is defined using the option tag. An example of for an example of a drop-down tag with multiple options selected is Volvo BMW, allowing user to choose more than one car. Moving on to the text input field. The text input fields are created using input type equal to text. They are used for short single line inputs like names or addresses. Attributes like max length and placeholder enhance usability by guiding user input. Here we can use text area tag to implement multi-line text input. A multi-line text input is created using the text area tag in HTML, allowing users to enter large amount of text. It can display multiple lines of text and support features like resizing. The rows and calls attributes control the visible size of text area, while users can freely type and edit the content. Here is an example of the usage. Now, moving on to the accessibility features and styling tips. We use labels for better accessibility and add area attributes for excessive technologies. We can also use CSS like inline external and internal CSS to make a form look more pretty. Moving on to the client-side form validation. Client-side Client-side validation happens in the browser, improving user experience by catching errors before submission. For example, required, which ensures that the field mandatory is to filled and cannot be skipped. Type equal to email checks for valid email formats. JavaScript can further enhance validation for custom requirements. Now, I will explain a basic code of an HTML through which we have created a form. Here first we have used the boilerplate and then the form tag. Inside the form tag we have used a label tag to make the client side validation, and in input type we have given text. We are asking for your name here. Then we have the same input types like we have gone to email, password, age, number. Then here we have an example of a radio button where we have used input type radio, and then here we can select multiple options instead of a select drop down menu. Here is an example of select drop down menu which is created to a select tag, and then the options are given through option tag. Here the value of the tag is given which is stored in the database. Then we have input type equal to checkbox where you can select multiple checkbox. Then we have used the text area tag to enter a message which is rather more large than the input type text. And then we have created a submitted button. Also at the end, if you like, you can do this login here and anchor tag. And this is the CSS part. After running this code, our form will look something like this. Here you can see we can enter a name, email, password. Password will be in encrypted type. Age will be in number. You can increment or decrement it. Then we have the select tag through which we can only select one option. Radio tag, sorry. Then the select tag through which we can create a drop down menu. Then here we have the checkbox. Here we have text area in which we can enter a large message. Then also we can choose or upload a file here. So this is a basic form. Here is the code for it. This is the output of a form. So I hope you guys get to know a lot in this video. In this video, we explored the essential of HTML forms from basic tags to advanced attributes and validation techniques. Forms are a powerful way to interact with users, and designing them well improves both usability and accessibility. Thank you for watching and happy coding.